ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to another episode of How Did We Get Here? Better than your average channel in the movement. How Did We Get Here is the show. I'm your host, Jay Carter. Got my man that's always heard and never seen, Schemes. And we have a special guest on the show today. My firstborn, JC3, aka Trey. Say what's up to the people. So we just wanted to bring Trey on, man. We're having a discussion today. We're riding out to the lake together. He's been talking about it for a while. Start his own YouTube channel. So I said, hey, come on our joint. Give you a little publicity. So, what's the name? What'd you say the name of your show?
Is it Venture?
And what kind of stuff are you gonna do? Like what? For example, fishing, camping.
Wendigo.
Expect from the show. You just gonna show your life, basically. It's gonna be a lifestyle show. Right?
Yep.
Okay. Now, what inspired you to want to do a show? What made you say, I want to start my own show? Who do you look at on YouTube?
Wendigo.
Carter Sharer. That's one. Who's a man that we watch?
Sneak Attack.
Attack Squad. Twin Toys.
Wendigo.
You watch a lot of things. Somebody had to, Ryan. Okay, he watches a lot of people on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. So we're gonna have a show where we going out to the lake. We're gonna show our garden. We talked about that, showing the garden in the backyard.
Wendigo.
We're gonna show Trey doing some of his little games and challenges that he likes to do around the house and wear me out with, stuff like that. So when you gonna be ready to start shooting your show? Any day now?
Yep.
Okay. Awesome sauce. So tell us again, what's the name of the show gonna be?
Trey's Adventures.
Trey's Adventures. Ladies and gentlemen, the next hot show that's coming on the market by my son, my firstborn, Trey Carter. All right, beat it. Love you, man. See you later. Go to sleep or something. I'm joking.
Start a new adventure.
He gave me that look, y'all. He thought he really had to go to bed. But anyway, y'all, thanks for tuning in again. Me and Schemes, we filmed the episode. We had fell back a little bit, but we filmed the episode, and then for some reason, some of y'all tech people probably know, but for some reason the episode like filmed on this other card that we had like in segments. I don't know. So anyway, I might post a clip because there is like 2 clips in there that was pretty decent. So I might post that. But again, man, how y'all doing? Welcome back. Hope your quarantine is still going well. Hope your family is well. And we send y'all, as always, love, peace, and blessings. But Schemes, what's been up with you, man?
Work, man. Work, more work, and work again. But you know what? That quarantine thing is over. Because, man, I know like 5 people that are all went to Vegas this weekend. I don't know what it is. I've been seeing
a lot of folks in Vegas, man.
Vegas. And these are all like separate people. Like, what's going on? Like this.
I seen mad people in Vegas when I'm looking on Instagram and all this other kind of stuff. I saw a lot of people. I was wondering what's the thing about Vegas right now. But
that flight must be dirt cheap. Like,
well, you know, Vegas trips.
Yes, you're going from Austin. It's cheap anyway.
But yeah, man. I'm kind of waiting till things die down a little bit. Still, you know, of course, we've been moving around a little bit, but I was telling wifey that I want to take us like a little week away. You know what I'm saying, and kick it. Fun fact, y'all. You know, even during this time, it's and actually, as much stuff that sometimes Tyrese do that we don't like. One thing he did do, and this was a few months ago, but he had like this little questionnaire deal that he had posted on Instagram of like asking questions to your significant other. Now Tyrese, he got bread. He built like something extra at the house for them.
Yeah,
to
you got
date
we got like a restaurant in the
He
backyard.
got a restaurant, but he built like this other piece to it. And then he had Jonathan McReynolds come in and sing to his wife and all this other kind of stuff. But anyway, me and Liz did this little question thing back and forth. And I had to give myself a husband attaboy. Because at first, the other day, we had like a date day last Saturday. In-laws cool enough, keep the kids for a couple extra hours, and we just hung out at the crib and just chilled out, And I was trying to ask her these questions, and she was too busy doing something else. So I sent it to her in a text, and she like, "What is this?" I said, "Please return to me by the end of the day, please. Thank you." So one of the things in there where, I always, I think it's important in your relationships with your significant other, always check in, do post checks, as you say. And one of the things in there, it was talking about something. The question was something to the effect, what do you appreciate about your spouse, or something you love about your spouse? And she said something to the effect of that I never feel judged by you, and I always know that you're coming from a place of love. And I was just like,
John Q cry.
I would do it. I just love you. But but on the real side, man, it was like, I was like, yo, I appreciate you because you really do understand my heart. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm never coming from a place of malintent when it comes to her. So I had to give a attaboy to my husband self and a pat on the back, and just hopefully encourage some of the other husbands out there to do that check-in with your chick every once in a while, check her temperature, see where she at, and, have some of those conversations or whatnot. So it was cool. And, like I said, we had the Saturday a good part of the Saturday to ourselves, and we enjoyed ourselves, had some fun. I was like, I was in the room like my man off of Predator. I'm having some fun. I'm having some fun.
Oh.
I'm having some fun.
Oh, you forgot the story about your dad.
Wait, which story?
When he called.
Oh, so I'm talking to Pop on the phone, and we just having our general conversation, and, my mom is fussing at us both because, he got me into the cycling, y'all. All we talking about is, like, bikes. It's like cars now. We always talking about the bike. She's on the phone. He's in the background. We end up talking about the bike. So, anyway, we sitting there chatting. He's like, yo, where's Trey at? And I'm like, he over at the in-laws. Where Jason at? I said, he over at the in-laws. Oh, boy, let you get off this phone then, boy. I'm like, like, man, chill out. I mean, you can let me get off, though. But so, yeah, man, it was just cool. Just enjoy some time and space and, just be able to look at a show without it being interrupted, look at a movie. We watched that joint with Omar Epps and Nia Long.
Oh, yeah.
It was a little overrated.
It was just another remake of every one of those movies.
I felt like that was probably one of the weakest performances I've seen Omar Epps in.
Yeah.
It wasn't a strong. I mean, it was
the movie. I think we were more. Well, I think the lens which we saw that movie and the standard that we have for it was lessened because with the whole Corona thing, is not a lot of movies coming out.
Right.
But overall, the plot of that movie was really bland. Like I said, it was no different than the movie when you had Beyonce, when they had the little situation.
Right, with the crazy chick at work.
What was the one with Morris Chestnut when he was in one too? Mm-hmm. It's a whole lot of them. Let's go on and on. It was pretty much the same format. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just the same. Replace the characters. Insert somebody new. Same. Yeah, it was pretty much the same. It was nothing creative about it.
I sitting in the bed, I was giving Nia props because I thought she was gonna let it happen when he had tossed up in the bathroom or whatever.
But you know what? Speaking of that movie, it's a perfect segment.
Okay.
We was talking about just a few seconds ago. Outgrowing your relationship. Because if you looked at the relationship with her and her husband, they had quote unquote the perfect everything.
Yes.
But yet and still, she still felt that there was a lack.
Right. Now, here's the part of it that that I was challenged by, and I would fuss at some women about, is that, and again, as we started off the conversation, of course, we try to make perfect segues, is that, again, doing those check-ins in your relationship, right? And, I don't know if dude had gotten to a point where he wasn't checking in, checking her temperature, stuff like that. But, they show in the film that he has some kind of injury, obviously. Yeah. But it still looked like she still was unfulfilled, sexually and things of that nature. But I was like, God, dog, the brother was obviously.
Yeah. But, outside of just the sex, it seems like it was a hamster wheel. It was the same thing. It was Groundhog Day. Every day they had the same mundane schedule. They did this. Right. They ate. They did. It was the same thing every day. Yeah. So that's when we started talking about the growth, because apparently she somewhat They have to be some form of outgrowing their relationship. So the first question you would ask yourself, like, if there's ever a point of relationships, and not just those type of relationships, we all outgrow people or relationship. We talked about growing up. Right. I had friends from high school and before. We would all meet up every summer. Yep. Of college, we was all in college, or everyone was doing whatever they was doing outside after high school. We all would meet up at certain houses and stay up to like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning and regurgitate the same stories. Yep. Reliving high school games, whatever sport it was, or a different situation. And every summer we would relive those same conversations. Right. And same jokes. But after a while, we talked about, I kind of looked at some of those people, and I still have a lot of love for them. Right. That outside of the memory, we didn't really have anything in common. Right. Mm-hmm. So when you start looking at, and when I take it to the position of that movie, it seems like they was living off memory. Okay. There was nothing new, and it seems that they've outgrown each other or parted ways, even though they were still in the same household. It seemed like there was nothing that was really binding them together.
Well, I think a part of that was there. I think in the film it shows, I mentioned the sex part because he was asleep in the bed, and she kind of looked one time like maybe she wanted something to go down, but then you see like a scar on the dude. So it's like, okay, and they kind of mentioned that something happened to him. Then after she had the encounter with Omar, and they showed a time where I think dude took her down in like the shower and things started to return back. So as much as you're in the hamster wheel of things, I think she also took the time to kind of go back and appreciate the position that she was in. You know what I'm saying? Because she did have, I noticed, it's not stereotypical, or the typical lines, but dude was, hey, you want chicken to fit? He was cooking and doing all that kind of stuff, and
but it seemed like that was the regular outside of the scene in the shower. Right. It seemed like that was their normal thing, the cooking, the talk. It seemed like it was just the same thing every day, and it seems as if in her mind it became stale. Right.
So how would you say that you combat that, or is some of that? I'm saying I guess the reason I'm saying that it hit home for me, especially once for me, I'm in a stage where I got small kids. Yeah. My days are mundane a lot of time.
Yeah. And so when it comes to that, and when you talk about that questionnaire, how do you engage that conversation? Right. You know what I'm saying? Of when you see that you're outgrowing that situation. Right. What does that conversation look like? How do you bring that up and have that conversation? And as you were saying, what your wife was saying, you come from a place of love, and those people not feeling some kind of way, stop not feeling judged, or feeling less than when you have that conversation, right? Because sometimes you're willing to have certain conversations with outside people because, as we talk about, sometimes some things are not received well because of proximity.
Right.
You feel as if you're judging them, but really this is really in the best interest of not yourself, but the whole unit.
Yeah, I think we always talk about too, Skeen, is that the reason why it's easier to have the conversation outside of that proximity is because when you have it outside, the exchange is free.
Yeah.
But when you have it within, there's a price of admission that you pay.
There's a mirror that you have to look into when having that conversation, because if you with your wife, you are each other's reflection.
Right. Exactly. So that's what people don't realize, that relationships are reflexive.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you are, and with that, you may not like what's in the mirror.
Right.
So now the question it would be this, right? In those situations, who's to blame? If there's a blame, like, and when I say just growth, and not just that in general. Say, for instance, if you become more spiritually awoke than your mate.
Okay.
And you want that person to come along within that spiritual journey. And that person has no desire to do so.
Okay.
Is it, from an accountability standpoint, who's to blame for that strain? Is it you because of your growth? Or is it her,
because
or
of
his or her stagnation? Because you're looking to better yourself, in your view, is bettering yourself.
Right.
But also that person, they can say, I didn't sign up for that form of growth from you.
Okay.
Because when I married you or got with you, whoever it is, this is who you were. I wanted this person.
Right.
Just like on any given Sunday, these plays run the plays that I like.
I love.
Yes. So is there a form of blame, or who's to take the brunt of that? Because it's not really, I guess you wouldn't say blame. Who's to take a brunt of that responsibility? Because there's a strain, whether you like it or not, it's there.
Do you think that plays into, where the term equally yoked?
Yeah.
Because equally yoked, of course, is really what it's talking about, is being, in the spiritual realm, with church, they say, is the dude that you say, does he even have a relationship with the Lord? Is he saved or whatever? But it's also talking about equally yoked in goals, in mind frame, in morality, in how we raise kids. It's all of those things.
And that's another thing, it's not just about the religious standpoint. What if you now have fitness goals?
All of that, yes, yeah.
That you want, as we talk about, we have family members with diabetes. It's a rampant thing on both sides.
Yep.
So if you have certain fitness goals that you want your mate to help to also partake in, now it's not saying that you don't love that person, you love them any less because they're not willing to do these things.
Right.
But there is a view, your lens is going to change. Or if you have new aspirations of wealth, or not just wealth, of not just having a mundane 9 to 5. You have new ventures that you want to tackle.
Right.
Is that, if that person is not willing to at least support your view or your vision, even that causes some form of strain, because there is a growth, because you say, hey, this 9 to 5 is not for me. This job that I've worked on 20 years or whatever, it's not my thing anymore. Right. I want something different.
Right.
Now, your mate may say, hey, I want you to keep doing what you're doing, because there is a form of comfort and security within that job. With the money that you make, whatever it is, the insurance, so on and so forth. Yep. But you now have a view of wanting something more. And regardless whether you achieve that more, at least you're fulfilling yourself or whatever you feel that is your purpose.
Right. I think a key part of it if we're going to say what are some of the keys to preventing stagnation in a relationship, number one is to have honest communication. And then I'm going to say for men, honest communication isn't a one-way street, because oftentimes men, we think that women are too emotional to be able to handle the truth. But we know a lot of cats, when they hear the truth about themselves as well, you know, they crumble like cornbread.
Yes, sir.
So it's not just this one-way thing, and both people have to have open dialogue. Now, I was listening to my man Jesse Lee Peterson, and he was talking about women don't like the truth, and he was saying that he dated a lady, and she asked him if he liked the new haircut that she had, and he said, "Nah, it's terrible." Now, as we're having an open dialogue, there is, again, talking about coming from a position of love and being tactful with one another. You know what I'm saying? You know, saying that, you know, nah, chick, that looks horrendous. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, hold on, what we doing here? You know what I mean? So I think that's an important part. And I think another key part of it, too, is while we do understand, and again, boy, I'm telling you, you know, having small kids, man, and both parents working, I could say for me and wifey, that does put us in a very, you know, the days are like, you know what I mean? So we have to pick and choose our small little spots to kind of get that connection. You know, a lot of times I used to tell her we're going to have some pillow talk time, you know, 15, 20, 30 minutes, whatever it turns. And some days, Skeens, is really where if it's been one of them tough days, and by the time that you kind of do what you got to do, get the kids down, and by the time you kind of decompress, you laying it down. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you can still, I think some days can still be mundane, but you can still be aligned.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
You know, even though it's the same thing, but you can still be aligned as long as we talk about the communication. I understand your the portion that you're playing in this, and what you're holding up to make sure that I'm able to even go to sleep.
Absolutely.
And vice versa. Yeah, there's a difference between having those same stagnant day-to-days, but when you know that we're each other's crutch.
Right.
Contrast to a person's not willing. Right. It's a willingness thing, you know, or having your lens open to possibilities.
What are some things you think that, and we're going to talk from the male perspective, what are some things that we can do to break up especially in this time, sometimes, well, like I said, people are moving a little bit, but when we couldn't move as much, what are some ways that we can kind of break that up and engage our significance, you think?
Well, you have to be able to walk that fine line of, I think it's a line that they're all parallel. Encouragement.
Okay.
Criticism and constructive criticism.
Right. Okay.
Depending on your tonality, may determine how that message is received.
Right. Very good. Yeah.
Because even when you say encouragement is like pat on the back word, but it can still, even that can somewhat sound like a backhand compliment. If the tonality is not, that's like sometimes when people are texting, you're like, "Hell on, call me," because I don't want things to be lost in translation.
Yep.
But you also have to be willing to see things from both lenses.
Boom, there you go.
And I know it's a struggle for a lot of people because, you know, they talk about like the reason why Jordan is a horrible GM in terms of picking players, because he has a certain thing and a drive that he cannot identify in others.
Right.
You have to be able, and a lot of the best GMs in different sports are either A, people that didn't play, believe it or not, or B, borderline players. Other than Jerry West, not really a lot of great players that are great GMs. John Lynch for the 49ers is doing a great job.
Yeah.
But you have to be willing to see, one, the bigger picture. You got to be willing to take into account the different obstacles that may come about. I was watching an interview with Dame Dash. I don't know what the show was, but he was saying in the way he was phrasing it is his superpower is to be able to see the future and the past. So he envisions himself in that future situation. And from there he breaks down he views every obstacle that can come in the way of him reaching that goal. So in that moment, he now thinks about these different obstacles and how do you eliminate each one of these obstacles to make sure that you hit the goal. Right. Which was interesting the way he phrased it. Then you have to step back into the present. Into the present to now work on knocking down each one of those obstacles to get back to that future that you envision.
Man, okay. One of my mentors, he should talk about about forecasting kind of that way, trends, and trying to kind of be ahead of the game. But I think that's key what you were talking about. With the willingness in your because as we talk about the reflective relationship. You have and the willingness, what I call willingness issues. If you're going to go into a relationship and not be willing, then don't go into the relationship. Yeah. If you're going to go into the relationship self-serving, selfish, don't go in there. Don't put yourself in a relationship, because I think once you, I think nowadays people aren't as critical and don't go into relationships as seriously as they should, because I was never a person that was just trying to be willy-nilly in relationships like that, because I did take relationships so seriously and the time that I'm going to invest. So I wanted to be successful.
So would you think, well, I'm asking you two questions.
Okay.
One, can you deal with lack of drive? Because drive is required in any relationship, and it is a drive to either strengthen the relationship, strengthen yourself, because the stronger that you are, the better the bond and the foundation that you help create to catapult their relationship to another level. Or could you be cool with somebody like, hey, they just.
I personally cannot.
I'm a minimalist.
Yeah,
I'm doing enough to keep the job.
Right.
I'm doing enough just to be your friend. Right. I'm not really your friend. Like in those real moments. Or I'm doing just enough to stay in the relationship. Can you be okay with it? Because some people can.
Some people can. Jay cannot.
Yeah, some people can't, because some people, as I'm not even really go back into it, the whole Jada Pinkett jump when she was talking about
right.
When she had a issue with being what she was saying. Basically, she likes being taken care of people.
Oh yeah, she likes to take care of people. Yeah.
There's some people
felt good to take care of somebody.
That has that has that. I don't know if you can call it whatever it is. Okay. Yeah. That trait.
Yeah.
Whether it's good or bad.
Right.
To want to help in some situations, it's a great trait to have.
Yeah.
Another thing when we talk about relationships, whether any relationship in general, but let's talk about just, male, female, intimate type relationship. Do you think that counseling, even just in a regular relationship, relationship counseling, is something that more of us should be willing or make it a requirement to have in order to even really legitimize that relationship? Before you even say we're going to really legitimize this relationship, let's go to some form of counseling.
I went to premarital counseling.
Well, not even married. I'm saying just any type of a real. When you say, "Hey, we're going to make this an exclusive relationship," not just dating.
To just say relationship and go, that would be the next level.
So when we talk about that, right? I think. Now, some people say, I don't want to go, but I think long term, you'll be doing yourself a disservice not doing it, because you may be able to get rid of, and I hate the terms, baby dad and baby mama. Maybe you wouldn't sleep with my dude that got 4 kids, and he's not taking care of none of them. But yet and still, you start dating him, you hold a relationship, then you shocked at your baby mama number 5.
Right.
If you would have talked, you really had these open conversations in terms of why you're not in the kid's life. What is your hindrance?
Right.
What are we really compatible? Not just this fly by night sexual relationship or these things that's going on. Hey, we kicking it, but we kicking it with friends, so we don't really get to see the real each other because of as we talk about the representative phase. Now you're jumping into something that you really didn't really learn the person, because it was I was watching some show that the one was saying that she was getting engaged to a guy that she'd been dating for years. And he right before they got engaged, he told her that he used to sleep with men. Never told her. All this time, never told her. Now, after they get engaged, it's like, hey, right before we get married, I used to like sleep with guys, and now she feels some kind of way because she was saying any guy that she sees him with, she's wondering.
Her mind is going, yeah.
Now, I can understand from his perspective. He may have been looking at, hey, I didn't want to tell her these things up front because it is a sensitive topic, and I don't want her to prejudge me.
Well, he thought that would have closed the deal. That would have been a deal breaker. So,
in terms of those different counseling sessions, these are different things that should come up that you need to talk about. So that would save you a lot of time and effort of not being with the wrong person. Even though we say that being with the wrong person is still the right person because it's the person you need to be with at that moment in your life. But even with that being said, knowing through that counseling session, maybe it would be a light turned on for you to say, hey, this is a reflection of where I am. Maybe I do have some work that I need to work on, that I need to improve on, because I attracted this person.
Right.
And you're rather find this out 6 months into a relationship through counseling and whatever than 5 years. Now you got to start back over because time is our most valuable commodity.
Well, and when we Liz and I, we didn't go when we dated, but before we got married, went to counseling. And some of this stuff y'all can even, again, if you're invested in your relationship like that, you can Google some of these questionnaires and things like that. But, there were some deep questions in there that made you think. And, how do you feel about kids? How do you feel about your significant other's job? Do you think their job is good enough for you to live the lifestyle you want to live? And then they had us even break down our finances.
Yeah.
And beforehand. And okay, how much money y'all going, what are you bringing in every month? How much y'all think, your rent is going to be, your mortgage, the car note, what bills do you have? And we broke down all that stuff and looked at it together to look at how much money we were going to have every month after everything was paid. But it got that in depth beforehand. Number two, going back, I personally have to have somebody that's driven. And one of the cool things when me and Liz looked at when we were doing that little questionnaire, it was cool that we were aligned so much as far as our overall vision for the family and where we want to be in the future, as far as some of our legacy goals we have, kids, grandkids, so on and so forth, so stuff like that. So that was really cool. Now again, we got almost 20 years in the game, so
Yeah, I'm about to say you like 10 deep. So you had a cheat sheet. Right? You better answer the answer to this.
So we got some time in the game. So
Also, we talk about relationships, right?
Yeah.
And we're talking about counseling. How many people would be opposed to not just relationship counseling, mental health counseling?
Well, we know we got to do that overall, better job of that overall, period.
Well, that's something even that, as we talk about, that's something that I don't think many of us even account for or even think about in terms of relationships.
Right, we don't.
when you get with this person, the mental health, because some people like a certain type of person. Hey, that's your thing. You like the rowdy person. That may be your thing, but also understand everything that comes with it, because you never know. Well, even the nicest person may have some mental health issues. You just never know.
Absolutely, yeah.
But you can't. You at least want to somewhat be able to identify what you're coming into, as well as what's your risk tolerance. Are you willing to put in the work to help this person become a better person, or are you willing to deal with what may come about? Right. You can't come 3 years later after you knew this person had mental health issues and then be shocked by some of their actions. As the one guy said, you can't be in a relationship with an alcoholic and be shocked you stopped at the liquor store.
There you go. Well, and I have a friend, and we sat down recently, had a discussion about kind of just her maturation process. And she was like, Jay, I finally have grown up. And, we were discussing that. And part of that, when she would see those red lights in the relationship, starting out with somebody, she would still stick through the red light. But then, there's frustration that's on the other side, as you're talking about. If you haven't really assessed what comes with this, there's frustration waiting for you on the other side.
So who are you mad at? You're mad at them,
right?
But you're really mad at yourself,
absolutely,
because you knew.
Yeah, and she was dating a guy, and she had told me about this guy. So in me catching up with her and checking in with her, I'm like, hey, what happened to this dude? And she said, oh, it didn't work out. And I'm like, what happened? And without going into detail, she didn't. I was like, hey, you don't got it. But she was like, I finally have gotten to a place in my life when I see those red lights early on, I cut it off. And oftentimes we don't cut it off at those positions. And like Skeens is saying, we're 3, 4, 5 years down the road. And in most relationships, when you're that far down the road, you've thrown kids in there, you're living together. So all this other stuff is in there that's stopping you from getting out of it.
And a lot of fuel to the fire of your anger is the time.
Right.
It's not a lot of time. It's not even like I'll be at work with certain things that people be waiting hours for. Like it's something simple. Somebody could answer that question immediately.
Right.
Or say, we can't help you. Now, it's not the fact that you can't help the person. That person is mad because they have wasted so much time for you to tell me it wasn't going to work out.
Right.
I can't do that for you.
There you go. Yep.
So, and so you have some women, I wasted my best years with you. Like the one.
Oh, you sent me that joint.
Yeah, when the woman hit the guy with a car.
Yeah, there's a chick, y'all, that they had a video where she had literally run this guy over. And I know he was I know he had some life-threatening injuries. He's
like critical condition. Then she
took the bumper and hit the guy with it.
She spit on him, talking about all these years I invested.
Gave you. Girl, get out. Yeah. If you get to the point where you about to run a cat over, choke somebody out, shoot him, stab him, whatever it is, get out.
But once again, that frustration, she wasn't mad at him. She was mad at herself.
Yeah. Yep.
Because she knew. And regardless of what it is that person was doing, whether it's mental abuse, physical abuse, lack of intimacy, whatever it is, you know what it is,
right?
Yet and still, you stuck it out.
Yes,
there's no one to blame but yourself.
Yes.
Now there's a difference between
if it's a reflection of you.
Yes. Now it's a difference between if you're telling a person something, what your wants and needs, and this person is saying, "Hey, I'm gonna work on it,"
right?
Or I'm gonna do this, and then they don't. That's the difference between being lied to, or they go the opposite way, or the person just become a brand new person. They go something different.
Right.
But if you knew who that person was coming in the gate.
Yep.
And they are who they are.
Yep.
And they've always been who they are.
Yes.
Look in the mirror and blame yourself.
Reflection.
Now I do have ask you a question, right?
Okay.
If would you feel disrespected? As she did, say the thing about the respect. Would you feel disrespected if a person is not willing to meet you halfway. Like if you said I'm growing and I'm trying to be a better me, whatever that better you is, as long as it's positive, whether like I said, finance, job, relation, spiritual,
right, the totality of it.
whatever it is.
Yep.
If that person is not willing to at least meet, and you may say, hey, I want you to come with me on this journey to be a better you. Mm-hmm. And we talk about the whole aspect of being willing to do certain things. If that person is, you say, hey, they're not going to come all the way over, but if you're not willing to support me or meet me somewhere in the middle, would you feel disrespected by the lack of, because it seems as if that person is not valuing you at that, you know what I mean? You feel a lot.
You definitely it definitely can be seen as a sign of disrespect, a lack of respect for the relationship. But for me, I take it as a sign of, okay, you located yourself. Now I know location done. Located. Now it's incumbent upon me to then move accordingly. Right? Yep. I'm not going to waste, again, this is just Jay. I'm not going to waste my time wallowing in disrespect. Yep. I'm going to make the proper necessary adjustments. And oftentimes when me and Skeens always talk about make or break, or your top 5, or these necessary things that you have in everybody's necessary things in a relationship are different. If you're in constant violation of one of those things that I need in the relationship, okay, locate it.
Yeah.
We not meant to be together.
Part 2 of that. So, as you say that, right? Because, and I'm trying to see it from other perspectives.
Yep.
Would you be willing to wait on that person on their personal growth?
That part is great.
So, in with that, so you got two different. You can look at it in two different lenses. Mm-hmm. Am I willing to wait on that person to grow and develop?
Right.
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 Or move on, because you can say, hey, I'm gonna do my best and I'm gonna wait on that person's growth. Mm-hmm. But you can also say, hey, this person is hindering my growth.
Right.
Because I have somewhere to be. I'm moving. I'm trying to
move.
My
path. Yeah.
I'm being stagnant, waiting on you.
Right.
And it's a difference between people. As I talk to people, I have no problem helping anybody who wants to learn.
Absolutely.
If you want to learn, I'll help you all day. We'll do whatever. We can go above and beyond if you want to learn. You want to help. Mm-hmm. Contrast to somebody who's fighting me tooth and nail.
Yep.
To get it, to even do the bear.
Right.
So, all right, would you be willing to wait on that person? But then you can also say something to some people. Will be like, you can develop a level of hate for that person because I'm frustrated because I can't get to where I want to go.
Well, yeah, what happens is when those needs in a relationship aren't met on either side, that's disappointment, right? Mm-hmm. And then when you don't see that this is going to happen ever in the future, that disappointment then turns into I resent you, right? Now, for me, in my trek, the biggest hurdle and people, why did you and Liz date so long? The biggest hurdle was communication. And I knew in a marriage that it would be further compounded. Mm-hmm. Now, mind you, Liz did not officially live with me. Now, she was at my house all the time. All the time.
She lived there.
She did not have a key or anything like that, but she was always there, right?
She was a welcome.
She was always a
welcome,
very welcome guest.
Well, wasn't a guest. You lived there. you wasn't on the paperwork.
No, but you lived there.
You was there.
So the thing is I postponed some of those official things with children, marriage, officially on a lease together until we work those parts out. You know what I mean? And that came with its own set of struggle and strain. And, to each person, that point that you're talking about of how long do you work it out? You know, how long do you wait for that person to have their evolution? You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
As we talk about potential get coaches fired.
You know what I'm saying? There's a place there, and I think, and what you're talking about,
well, unseen potential.
Yes,
well,
unseen potential. There you go, unseen potential. Because when you do see potential, again, there's potential, then there's unseen potential, and a lot of times we'll find ourselves in relationships with people where we're speaking highly of this potential, but there's no fruits, there's no evidence there that it's coming to pass anytime soon. So that is a part where you have to make that decision. You know, where you in really your mental health and just your heart health in a relationship. Like, yo, this thing is tearing me apart. I'm not myself. I'm sick. I'm losing weight. You know what I'm saying? I can't focus. You know, all that kind of stuff. So we just wanted to hit y'all with a quick, relatively quick, but, you know, sit back and do some evaluation. I'll probably, matter of fact, in the description here, I'll post that little questionnaire that I saw. But find your own and have that conversation with your significant. Check in, that kind of thing. Do y'all need to go and sit down and have? Are you in a space where you're feeling like you're ready to get married? Do you need to do premarital counseling? Are you in a space just in your dating relationship where things are just y'all can't get on the same sheet, but y'all still want to invest time? Do you need to go sit down with somebody now so that y'all can learn how to properly communicate with each other? So just some food for thought. But again, my man Skeens, your boy Jay Carter. This is another episode of How Did We Get Here? We'll see you guys next time. Peace.